How are you?
Oh, I am terrible.
Yeah.
Bradley Richard. This is a big deal for me because recently I went through quite a few hardships. A very turbulent year, which I did come out of learning a lot and growing a lot. And at the same time that was happening, Bradley was also going through his own hardships. So I thought, what better way to end this journey, this season, than having this conversation with Bradley, because he's a very strong man. He's gone through a lot. And on top of that, he's been there for me when not a lot of people believed in me. So, first of all, I want to say thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. So you know what I do here, because you and me have been friends. We calculated just about 4 years. COVID kicked off, and I moved out to North Dakota after a loss that I was dealing with at the time. And I kind of just packed up all my stuff and went back out to the patch from Montana. And I was thinking about the other day. I slept in my car for 2 weeks when I got out here because I was trying to find the right job. And I think this falls into the everything happens for a reason category. I took interviews here and there. But I knew if I was going to come out here, I wanted it to be the right situation. I probably stayed in a hotel 2 of those nights. And so I get an interview and I go and I ended up working out in Vanville. And that's how we met. You're a truck driver, right? Yeah. And so we got to hang out at work a little bit. And we'll get into how that whole relationship started. But it started there. And 4 years later, here I am sitting here having a conversation with him. And
Something I'd like to mention, if it's all right, is friendships come in a lot of different formations. And something that's been special with RJ for me is I don't have to talk to him every day, but he's never not texted back and he's never not called back. And he's called me in probably some of the most difficult times in his life. And I would just call to check in. And he was very honest with me. And I've been there in that dark place, man. You're never alone.
I know it, man. That's why I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't have to talk every day, but I know that you're there. And you always have it. We'll get into that 5-month stretch, a little bit later. But I want to get to know you more. And I feel you have a story that a lot of people could learn from, that can take some advice from, or some do's and don'ts. And I'm so excited that I get to end this season with one of my best friends. So thank you for everything you do, Bradley. I appreciate it. So oddly, Bradley's childhood wasn't that bad. I feel like a lot of us as human beings, a lot of problems we run into later in life, they stem from our childhood.
Product of the
environment. Exactly. So childhood. So can you tell me a little bit about how that was, about mom and dad, and where you were and what life was like for you growing up?
Small town, southeast metro area, between cities, Jordan, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
good childhood, really growing up.
Nuclear family.
Yeah, yep, mom, dad. It was very loving. Mom a little overbearing, overprotective, but my family, my entire family was around me for all of my life. 13 cousins, aunts, uncles. I mean, everybody was around. But the one thing I will say about product environment is the majority of my extended family did struggle from addiction at one point or another. And we all are, to some degree, a product of our environment. Not necessarily so much directly involved in my family, but nonetheless, it was seen. It was around. We all knew about it. Kids aren't stupid as much as we all want to think.
Yeah.
We absorb more than, even as us parents today. We probably don't realize how much of that our kids absorb.
So could all of them.
What do you got?
Let's go. Everything was good, but your mother was overbearing. And sometimes when that's a thing, it can cause your child to rebel. And you did that over you.
I did. Through most of grade school, things were pretty, I would say, ordinary as a child could be. I mean, school wasn't never really my thing, but I did enough to get by. 7th grade, I met my best friend, and drugs, alcohol. I mean, that's where it all started for me.
It started there. So when you talk about an overbearing mother, in what ways was she like sheltering you, or because that's usually where the rebellion comes from? I want to do what my friends are doing.
Yeah, very much so. It was, early curfew. You don't want to do this. You can't do that. Or I'm going here. No, I don't want you to go there. And it was just very much that instinctive mother protection. I understand and get that, but at the same time, it was kind of interesting because my father was very much the opposite of. He kind of knew that I was going to be that child that learned the hard way.
And you had a good relationship.
Very. Still, to this day, as a matter of fact, I still have a very good relationship with my father. And but yeah, it was my mom, and it was kind of like you and I discussed, they want the best for you, but they really understand.
Yeah.
And I do, I get it. I mean, I'm a parent now, and of course you want the best for your child, but I think there's a point in life where you kind of have to let them fly.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to end up in a situation where they don't learn what they should as early as they should. And that's rebellion.
101.
Fuck you. I'm not going to, take your bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's where it stemmed from for me. Like you're not going to fucking tell me. It's an error. It's an error. So,
yeah, no,
that's where the streak started for me.
The streak started there. So you're in high school. There's a big transformative moment that happened in your life where you had your heartbreak. That was the true love for you.
Yeah.
How did that change you?
What happened? 15 years old, man. I met what I thought was the love of my life, I guess we'll say. I talked about something earlier in this place, kind of a role in this, and it's just me feeling it in the moment now. It's the innocence of our children. At 15, you never had your heart broken, and you think it's for real, and you think it's forever,
even now.
And the vulnerability that you put yourself out there to have it all ripped away. Fuck, man. Ooh, there's no worse feeling and betrayal, dishonesty, disloyalty, and so you asked what it did to me.
Mm.
I'm 42 now, RJ, and I was at 15, and I've never put my heart fully into a relationship.
It affected you that much?
I told myself I'll never fucking be hurt like that again.
I understand that feeling more now, later on in life, but that's a lot of years to go by guarding yourself, you know? Do you see relationships that you had afterwards that you were like, if I would have been more open, if I wouldn't have been so shielded, or if that never happened to me, things would have gone different?
Very much so. Very much so.
To you.
Very much so.
That set the tone for your relationships.
Investment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Investment.
Yeah.
When you don't, if you don't invest, you don't have to worry about losing.
We talked about, we've had a lot of conversations, you and me, on the phone, in person, on, our first time hanging out. We were long, in the truck with you driving. And we just talked. We hit it off right away. Fuck, I lost it. But I understand more now what you went through at that time and how it can
completely change your route in life.
Yes, your trajectory, absolutely. That's a pain that it's forever, right? It's forever pain. It's been this long. Is there any way moving past that, or what do you think?
Yeah. What I'll say right now is I'm going to put RJ on the spot here a little bit. And he's going to get to ask me this too, but it's something I've learned. It is part of my healing.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. RJ, what are 3 things you love?
The things I love. I love my kids. I love being in the mountains. And I love
the most important thing you're going to tell me is yourself.
Yes, that is the number one, most important one, isn't it? Yes, sir.
That's what I've learned. If you don't love yourself, it's hard to really love anybody else. And that's what I've had to gravitate towards to really accept it.
You gotta love all the pieces, all the parts, right? If your glass isn't full, how can you pour it in? I get it much. So I'm a late bloomer, I feel like, But damn, it's crazy too. Like a lot of shit that happened in the last year or two were things I've heard everybody in their life with, everybody gone through, but not me personally. And then, that's
why this is such an honor for me.
I'm loving the shit out of myself right now. As much as I'm still not okay, the grind of this and the feedback from it, the growth from it is like what keeps me in the game. You know what I mean? But you got to work on those things, right? The traumas, facing those things, facing the man, the demons. Yes, sir, the demons. Some days they're stronger than others. And, but when you do have the ability to love yourself, you get to let the right person in. And it's a very helpful thing when you have both people working, at the same time on the same goals.
I'll tell you, it's kind of fun to mention that because through my past 5 months, we'll say I've tried to fill the void a little bit. Yeah. And ironically, the one thing I've told everybody that I've encountered in my dating life is that I'm fucking broken. Mm-hmm. Like straight up, I tell and I do it in a sincere but sarcastic, but I'm telling you, I am fucking broken.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta understand, I have scars.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I bear them. I'm not afraid of them. But yeah, like, and that's honest life.
And I'd say probably the last 5 months for both of us has been an extreme period of growth and learning to love yourself more than others. We learned a lot of things. I know we've all been on our separate journeys, but there are some similarities. But the commonalities, you were there for me. I was there for you.
Absolutely.
15, broken heart. It changed you. You're 18 years old and something really gnarly happens to you that completely changes the fabric of your existence.
Yeah.
I know it's very tough to talk about, but you wanna let me know? You wanna tell people kind of what life was like at 18 years old when you went through it?
Again, I had much of a love-hate relationship with my mom. And still to this day, 42 years old. I bare my soul to tell you I hate my mom because of the relationship we had. But I'll tell you, take every moment you get because you never know when it's going to go.
Yeah.
And taking shit for granted is real.
Mm-hmm. Is that true?
I lost my mom to cancer. And we found out it was 3 months later. It was hard. It was really hard for me and both my brother because, again, we're kind of mama's boys. You know, I mean, again, as much as he loved, as much as he hated, he loved. You know, she raised us. She was there for us. And she did. I mean, the love that lady gave us when we were little, was no. She never had a drinking problem, never had a drug problem, never. You guys are no. And so, I mean, that is where that whole love hate thing comes from. Like you said, the overbearing, the protection. But yeah, when I lost that, you start to really realize one thing is it led me down a dark goddamn path.
Yeah, I mean, losing close friends and
prior to that, I should mention, like, this was the pivotal moment. You hit it. Prior to that, I lost my grandfather 2 years before that. Another dear friend of mine, a year before that, and 2 years before that, my uncle. So, and then in the same year, 2 more of my dearest friends went from driving. And so it was just a combination, right? I mean, the perfect storm. All this shit happens to a person, and you're asking yourself, like, when the fuck does this end? Like,
yeah, you told me there was a 3 to 4 year span where 9 deaths occurred of close family and friends.
And it was just like you like, at that age, how do you? Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you? That's what I think we're for now, is to help these people, because you don't know and understand how to deal and cope with that amount of pain. And I don't give a shit what anybody wants to tell you. It's fucking pain. Yeah, it's ungodly amount of pain. I can tell you what I did, and
numb the pain.
I did. I did very well. That was my transition from drinking and marijuana into methamphetamines, opioids, heroin.
Every step.
Oh yeah, it was real good. Real quickly, dude.
Yeah, it works, but it doesn't last forever. You can only numb for so long.
And you wake up and the pain is still there.
Still there. It intensifies too the longer you go without facing it. We don't really know that as children or, even as adults. I Yeah, what was that you said about people changing the energy? What was it?
So, psychologically, the human will do 3 times more effort to avoid pain than to add pleasure into their life. And I can tell you, I'm a living, fucking, breathing test subject to that.
The comfort zone.
Oh,
you know, there's a quote that I always circle back to, and it's the comfort zone is beautiful, but nothing can grow there.
Yep.
And that makes so much sense to me.
Uncomfortability is where growth comes from. And also, psychologically, when you break it down to the most human element, there's only 2 things. There's pain and there's pleasure. Well, I'll ask you, RJ, have you ever learned from any of your pleasure? Probably very little, if any.
Yeah, just very little. But those painful experiences,
it's where you grow and learn.
Getting so, how I ended up in North Dakota is I went through a gnarly breakup with a girl that I dated for like 5 years, close to that. And she wasn't even there anymore. She was in Minnesota. And I was like, the memories are here. There's so much going on that I just got to reset. I wasn't good at resetting. And I knew I could come out here, and that's when I was sleeping in my car for 2 weeks, trying to find the right job, and how we ended up meeting. So, yeah, it's crazy.
2 years. I went down that road of addiction, and it inevitably got worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
The culmination of the storm came on a day. Something I'd like to bring up right now is, and this is not to say that people that are going to kill themselves won't. I can't say they will or won't. But I think more often than not, it's a cry for help, which they should so get. They need attention. They need people. They're telling you. Yeah. They're just telling you, I think, in the wrong way. But
yes. Don't ignore those.
No, absolutely not. But what I'll say for myself is
intention.
Yeah, watch the people that are closest to you that go silent. They're the ones with the full intent. Because if you say you're going to have guilt and shame, and you don't tell a soul your intentions, what do you got to feel bad about when you decide to commit to it? That makes perfect sense.
There's this commercial, you can go see it on YouTube, where it shows these 2 older guys. You can tell they've been friends for a long time, and they're at a soccer game, and they're cheering. One of the guys cheering, one of the guys silent as all hell, right? And it's going on, and they're trying to portray this picture of this guy's really depressed, and his friend is having a great time, and he's like, come on. And at the very end, the guy that was silent, he's like sitting at the game by himself. And it was the guy that was cheering that ended up taking his own life. So it's also, it could be, on the
other portrayal.
Yeah.
Portrayal of happiness. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. 100%.
20 years old.
Yeah. I hid my addiction extremely well to, I would say, 95% of people around me had no idea how addicted I was to extremely deadly substances. So I work every day. I mean, I got up, did what I needed to do, but it's one of the things needed to be known. There's nothing real quick.
You go to the doctors now, and you don't even like looking at needles.
No. I hate needles. I'm definitely afraid of needles. But yet I could use it to numb myself. It ultimately came down to me looking at a picture of my mom and a cross with Christ on my wall. Shortly before that event, my best friend had reached out to me and was like, "You don't need to be alone." I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good, man. I'll be all right." I said, "No, man, you need to come hang out, have a drink, and get some shit off your mind. I'll be all right." And I loaded up a syringe with enough narcotics that would kill most elephants. And I looked at it, I looked at the wall, and I said, "Today is the day I get to meet motherfuckers." I tied my arm off, stuck that needle in my arm, and to what I know, I was clinically dead for 7 minutes. I wish the fuck I could remember it. but that is what I know. I was given a choice after that. I'll preface this by something else that's kind of funny. Some people kind of say like they have a book or a song or a movie that kind of depicts their life. Mm-hmm. And there's not a song in the world that hits harder for me than "Fill Your Element." Remember that, because the first line in that song is, "I'm not supposed to fucking be here." I mean, and it always just resonates with me that, man, I fucking did that. And dude, I committed murder to myself. Like, and so yeah, it resonates so loud with me that, like, man, you got a second chance at life. You better not fuck this up. So so yeah, it came down to I had a choice. My dad said, "Boy, you're gonna get sober, or you're gonna fucking die." And he's right. He was 100% right. Like, I knew the path I was going down. It was not a very fucking good one. As I said today, I'm 235 pounds. When I went in, I was like 150-ish, somewhere in there. You know, when I went in, I was pretty strung out, not healthy. Where did you go for treatment? Regions in Minneapolis. So yeah, fast forward to December of December. I know. Yeah, so that's when I got out. I went in. I believe it was the second or third. I can't recall for sure. It was between the first and the third, because I know it was a 28-day. But the holidays in there, so I know they kind of did some weird things with the days in there. But it was 2 years of hell. Dude, it was. I don't remember a lot of it. It was work and get your next fix. Work and get your next fix. So the day came. It was treatment time. I was scared shitless. I was like, well, this sucks. I got to do this to figure out, get through this bullshit. So go through life, and I honestly had no intention to think at that point. No, I figured I was gonna go through this and go back to my friends and go back to life. No, I stepped foot in there, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And so we get into the facility, and they're like, all right, here's your room, and this is where you'll be staying. Like, all right, that's wonderful. I walk into my room and like, your Sam's a 6'6" black man named Jerome, and he's a preacher. I'm like, well,
And the way you grew up.
oh, yeah, my grandfather, he would like just a racist family.
Yeah.
To which today, my entire life has changed on that. But I mean, it's just the times, the way I grew up.
Yep.
And so I'm like, here I am standing in this room with a 6'6" black fella and he's a preacher. And I'm just like, oh God, this is going to be just wonderful. Just great. And so I ended up developing Jerome, was his name. I ended up developing a pretty good relationship with him. Other funny story to me was he would go preach about God and the gospel and every day every Sunday after he'd go and smoke a joint.
Nice.
Figured that wasn't the right way to be.
Hey,
and
there's a guy who made that too. So.
I never thought it was the worst thing in the world, but he had some demons he wanted to deal with. So
yeah,
super cool dude. Man. Got to really know him, and again, kind of changed my life,
change your outlook, right?
Right,
like the way you look at him. That's huge.
And, so yeah, that was it was a provocative relationship that I got to develop with somebody that I never thought I would.
Yeah.
Getting kind of a turning point in treating that they're alone and yeah, so we're through the first week and it's still just kind of complete and utter bullshit. I just want to get the fuck out of here. Day 11. And that was it's pretty profound. Gregory gave a speech. This guy was MD, had a clinic down in the mail. And he was just standing up there. And I can't remember, but I think our whole unit was something like 30 or 40 people. And a whole little, chairs set up, and he's giving a speech. And this guy was telling a story of how he was addicted to morphine and basically running a medical practice at the same time. And yeah, I mean, multimillionaire, family, kids, wife, lost it all. I mean, he's in treatment with us telling us the story. Just like, holy shit. And I mean, that's when it hit me. It hit me like a ton of shit because I was like, okay. If this can happen to a medical doctor at somewhere, I would assume in his 40s.
Shake it up.
Drugs are not prejudice. And that was really my turning point in treatment. It's like I had this perception that drugs were for poor fucking white dudes that didn't have any positive outlook on life. Like, they just, it's the judge the book by its cover for, drugs are only for people that are poor. And drugs are only for people that are, and again, I'm 20 years old. So, so just whatever persona I had in my own mind, drugs don't affect people that are rich and drug, it hit me so hard. And I was like, well, I think I kind of got one option here, and that's to figure this shit out. And I did. I came out on the 29th of December,
left treatment,
2003. And I sit before you today. It's 23 years of sobriety. Sorry, 21. Not been fucking easy.
Yeah.
Not one bit there's been, I would say, the first 2 years were the hardest for sure. Yeah.
Life throws shit at you, and that's like the number one.
Oh, you numb the pain. So numb the pain. It's the easy button.
It is.
And humans are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
We're innately lazy bastards. What are you gonna do? I know how to fix this.
Never close. 2 years that I've kind of been on that path, and it's a whole nother lens that you look through when you're not able to run from covered up, sleeped off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's props to you, man. That's amazing. 21 years. That's you should be very proud of yourself. And everyone around you ensures that because
I try. I really do, and that's actually part of this with you. Is I've always known I need to give back.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of it. A really big part of that for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, you think enough foods. I think it's important, the stories that are told on here. I get a lot of feedback from people that say, what it's done for them. And that's what keeps me going. It doesn't make money right now.
Right.
It's never been about, nothing in my life that I've done has been equivalent to how good this makes me feel.
Right.
We're gonna go to another major life event. Or I want to kind of stay in order. You get your CDL before King County.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
So because that was a big deal for you.
Yeah. So I spent about a year back still in the metro area with my uncle, my sobriety. Still my rock to this day, man.
Uncle Jim.
Yep. Thanks, man. Can't thank him enough.
Sponsor.
Yeah. Anyway, I kind of bounced around for a year living with him and a few other people, but I ultimately knew I had to get the fuck out of there. Like, otherwise it was going to be impossible. I mean, when you're around the environment, you're around the people, it's easily accessible. It's not the environment you want to be in when you're trying to be clean. It's just not. And that's something I'll say to anybody that can learn anything from it. If you get yourself out of the environment, do it. It's worth it. It's hard. It's not easy, but get out. After my mom passed away, my dad needed environment change as well. And he bought a resort out near the South Dakota border on Lake Traverse. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to change. And so I went out and I figured out, it took me a little while. I kind of just took some time to myself, helped him work and did some ag work out there. Ended up figuring out, I was like, well, I might as well get my CDL. There's kind of money in that out here. I had to figure out something to do. And did that. Ended up doing some custom artist work. And from there, got into hauling betweeners in the summers and livestock in the winter. Did that for 2 years. And then I decided ultimately to go over the road at 2030. I got in a pretty good gig. I was running freight from the Twin Cities area up to Seattle. I would switch trailers with another friend of mine where we would meet in the city and he would have a load that would come from the East Coast and I would go to the West Coast and we would. So I had a place in Hwhp and then I also had a place in Seattle. And,
Going back and forth between both.
yeah, and it was good shape, man, good money, kept my nose clean, and met a damn good dear friend of mine out there trying to see Boots, Daddy.
Damn.
And man, that dude, I built such a good relationship with this guy that I could back into the dock at any time of night. He'd have all my stuff preloaded, pre-counted. I'd just get on the forklift and load my shit. Get all kinds of other people pissed off. Waiting. He's like, "Oh man, you're good." And yeah, Danny and I lived together. So anytime I had time off or I wanted to just hang out in Seattle, and I mean, I love Seattle. It really was my second home.
Yeah. I lived out there for about 2 years.
And it's funny because I'm a Midwest soul, right? I mean, like that's my whole life is in the Midwest, and I fell in love with Seattle, man. Like I don't know what it was about, but like going all the way up to Bellingham, like all the way up the coast. I mean, like
the Puget Sound.
Yeah, I don't know what it was that I fell so in love with that area. But I mean, I you feel at home in certain places, and I mean, like it felt like there wasn't a place I couldn't go that I didn't feel safe, or I mean, like I was rolling around in a fucking semi downtown Seattle. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was just something about that area that I loved. And he's like, "Hey man, you want to get a play?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'll throw it on a place at the end." And and it just kind of depended. I mean, sometimes it was every 2 weeks. I'd take a couple days off there, and then transition where I'd take a couple days back and geography or whatever. But yeah, man, we're hanging out one night, and fucking door thumps on the apartment, and Danny gets up to go open the door, and I like. Boom, boom, just 2 shotgun blasts, man, and all I see is red mist, and I'm like, the fuck just happened? Like, wow.
You were just laying down?
I was, to matter of fact, kind of like the couch I'm on now, I was laid back, and my back was actually to the door, and Danny had a 45, 1911 45, as a matter of fact, on the table similar to this. And I mean, I never thought shit about it. I mean, I know what he was doing, but I mean, I never thought it would come to that. Yeah, I mean, I knew his side hustle, but it didn't involve me. So,
and to be fair, if you go to my home, it's the same thing. I have pistols everywhere with the age, just because you never know.
Right. And it just never, again, like I said, just never thought it would come to that. I got up, and I realized at that point that there was a fella standing at the door with a loaded shotgun, that I didn't entirely know his intention, but I can tell you that I didn't want to find out. And it was either him or I. And ultimately, I was sent through the court system for murder and attempted murder in King County. I put 3 in that dude. I went and got a whole bunch of towels. And anybody that's ever played open a fish, I can tell you don't want to see it in the uniform. I tied him up, called 911, and Danny's still around today. I call him pregnant, though, because he looks like he's scars and everything. He's pregnant, Danny. He's still around, dude.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, he
shouts out to Danny.
For me, the most fucked up part of that whole thing was like, one, seeing it happen, and like I'll just tell you the shit you see in movies, bro. Like, oh my God. The amount of fucking mist that can fly from the human bodies is just fucking traumatic.
Yes.
Like, and then to see him laying there, and like, I was like, oh my God, this motherfucker just died.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, two shots from a 12 gauge at point blank range into his intestines. Like, this, yeah. And I was just like, no, man. I'm like, this shit did not just happen.
I'm in a flash too.
Oh, it was, yeah. Well, I mean, fuck,
Zero.
door. I'm like, oh my God. Again, instinct kicks in. It was MRI. Obviously, I'm here.
Yeah.
And it was just like I shaved the gun. I remember throwing the gun down at the doorway. Like people up and down the hall. I don't just remember, but I mean, I know there was just astronomical amounts of people running up and down fucking hallways. And again, my next thing was like, I got like whacked in his fucking eyes bone. And I'm like, I had the most dumbfounded look on him. I'm like, this motherfucker is alive. And I'm like, all right, well, so I was no fucking paramedic, but I know I got to stop the bleeding and I got to fucking get the shit that's out back in. So, yeah. So, I mean, here I am.
Yeah.
Fucking trying to patch this homie up, There's people over in Afghanistan and shit fighting wars for us, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. And so yeah, I ultimately walked out in cuffs that night. He went into the ambulance, and I was like, oh boy, he's
yeah.
I made it out of all that. Ten boys still around. Again, man, things in life happen to incredibly weird circumstances. I still know him to this day. Good dude. Just wild circumstances.
Real. And what did the court process and all that look like?
So the one thing I can really remember from that, I mean, the event in itself happening, and then the police show up, and I mean, it was like that was probably, I mean, fuck you, there was more fucking police than needed to be showed up. They were fucking full force, man, like guns drawn and get the fuck on the ground. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm unarmed, like, my homie's over here bleeding out. No fucks given. Like, you're in cuffs. Ended up having to hire a pretty high profile attorney from out there. Understood circumstances, but it was, I think ultimately it was like 2 years long.
Yeah. But Danny was alive.
Yeah, like,
so.
Well, and and kind of the funny part about that is that I had no idea. Like, I knew the situation and I knew the circumstances I was in, and like I knew I was gonna have to prove my innocence, right? I mean, like that was pretty clear to me. I was like, well, this is fucking not gonna be the greatest of situations to be in. And so they hauled me, tow my ass out. And I remember sitting in the jail. I'm like, bro, I am sitting in a motherfucking jail cell right now. I have no idea if this dude's gonna make it. Nothing. And I think it was like 3 or 4 days later, I finally got bonded out. Through attorney, I had to get hold of the attorney, start putting money in retainer and all this shit. So, and I had an 88 Delta Capri out there that I bought for like $600. It was a good little car. That was my beater to get around out there. And so I called the taxi. They brought me over to the dock where we load out of, and I jumped in my car, and I headed for the hospital. And they're like, yeah, we don't have any. I'm like, fuck you mean you don't have anybody by this name here? I'm like, yo, like, I can fucking tell you there was somebody here by that name. No, he's not here. I'm like, is he fucking dead? Oh no, we released him. And I'm like, the fuck you mean? What?
That's right.
Like, this is like, it was either 4 or 5 days later. Like, you know, and I'm like, and yeah, I ended up calling. He's like, oh yeah, man, they locked me out, took me out.
That's so crazy.
What the fuck do you mean they sound you up and let you out? He's like, oh yeah, they patched me up and
then we started
sent me home, and they're like, come back. And he had like, I would say it was probably 4 or 5 years of outpatient.
Yeah.
Stuff. But I mean, like, he looked like a real life stuffed animal.
Oh
my God. It was just like,
shit. That's good. It's chill to laugh about it now.
But yeah, because I'm like, bro, 5 days. They're like, well, yeah, there's not much we can do. You just gotta watch you know, like, yeah, like but I'm like you. I'm like, how? Like, the fuck do you mean 5 days later, bro? You just got blasted. It's a fucking point blank.
Shocking.
And I'm like, you're just chilling at home smoking a bowl. Like, this is not even right.
That's so crazy. Wow. Well, I mean, somebody was looking out for Hwhp.
Oh, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah, pregnant Dan.
Pregnant Dan. Shouts out to Danny.
Yeah, bro.
So on. Damn, what did you learn from that whole experience? Besides, you can put a couple rounds.
Again, taking life for granted.
Yeah.
You never know when, where, what can really truly happen in life. Deep on this, what I can say, a lot of people, I mean, I've had that sincerely carrying out for,
I
don't know, it's got to be almost 15 years or better.
Yeah.
I'm a huge firearm advocate. I was that thing.
Yeah.
You'll never know, but don't try me. I'll live by the term fuck around and find out. Mm-hmm. But the one other thing that I learned from that I think so many people, and especially you as a veteran, a lot of people always talk about if the time came, because they do.
Yeah.
And all I can tell you is if it's your life or theirs, it really, at least for me, and in the fear and anxiety you put in, there wasn't a second thought.
Right? Yeah.
I've been to classes and training, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very, very, very proficient in my firearms, and I take it very seriously, but it's always something you hear people talk about, and obviously I don't profess this to the general public of the shit I've had to go through, but it's just like the only thing I've ever told people is don't be afraid of your training. It's like, you can't think about it that way. And then that's the only thing I can say is like,
repetition is everything. And if you get good with the proficient, it becomes second nature to you. So good thing that you were trained up and that's all.
And I mean, it just for like, and I mean, so many, I couldn't even tell you how many times, the investigators and I go, well, did you intend to kill him? What?
Yeah.
The fuck do you think, bro? It's like,
Right.
But then your attorney's like, well, no, you stop it. Yeah, whatever. Stop. Motherfucker was coming through the goddamn house with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
What biggest thing that I take away from that is, your Second Amendment is there for a reason.
Yeah.
There's some people that are real old that knew how important that was going to be someday. And
there's like what's like better to have it on you than not.
Better to have it than never, or better to have it and not need it than have it and need it and not use it.
Yeah.
Got that stitched into one of mine. It's been my grip.
I love that. It's facts though.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's an experience of this person, right? I mean, even that sort of traumatic experience can send people back into addiction.
Yeah, trajectory in life. Going from trying to take my own life to taking another life. Get into playing God in a little while.
Yeah.
But I don't like to have to make decisions like that. I don't think that's my job. But I will say, put me in a corner, and you're going to find out what kind of fighter and survivor I am. So I'm going to put in a lot of corners in my life. As I can tell you, I've found my way out of a lot of them. And that's kind of where I'm,
that's your foundation. You're resilient. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, going through that, still sticking to sobriety. I came out of that ultimately, and Danny got sober. Yeah. He stopped slinging, got sober, and that was kind of a weird thing too, honestly. Like, he would use, but he was really just a pot user, which I guess really didn't trigger. Yeah, it didn't trigger for me, really. And then I think people with addiction will know what I'm talking about and understand those triggers. And it never really bothered me. But I can tell you, there was a good 6 or 8 months where, again, I was alone in the truck, but there was times where I was like the shit would just replay in your head. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You were in war, bro. You were in war, and I just like the shit that can replay in your own head is, you don't do, but your own brain is your own prison if you want it to be.
Yeah. What is that quote? It's nothing's more dangerous than your unguarded thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's true. I feel it can drive so much. So, right?
Absolutely.
So you're still sober, and I'd say the next big chapter of your life, you meet the mother of your children.
Oh, yes. So
27 years old?
27 to 31 was kind of a little bit of a freedom experience in there. 23 from May to there was all just kind of over the road.
Yeah.
I had one semi-long relationship in there, but with the extent of travel and, again, going back to my past, I'll never be hurt again. You don't tend to invest as much into that, so it kind of came and went. And
right before we continue, I have to you really bad.
Yeah,
time out of it. But we are going to absolutely continue with How you and your baby mama? That I'll be right back. All right. I am so back and ready to continue with 27 to 31.
Yeah, so that is just kind of a brief intermittent state where I ended up back in Minnesota, and I kind of was I don't know, over the road kind of burned me out.
Yes.
Wanted to get back to some normalcy. Experienced a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
Around.
Seen the country.
Yeah, it was good. I'll say I definitely enjoy west of the Mississippi way more than the east.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so 30, 31, I ended up in Duluth, Minnesota, Hwhp, actually. We were working up in the mines. She was from Duluth, and ended up meeting the mother of my children. She was 23 at the time, 31. And I was just trucking up there, but luckily, home every day was good shit. Side dump, hauling tailings for the local mines up there. It's a good gig. And again, it comes back to that investment thing.
Yeah, I want to say though, because we didn't actually go into that part. One of the conversations me and Brad had, especially during the difficult time I was going through, where he was talking about what is the true meaning or concept of love. And he explained it in a way that made so much sense to me about time.
Time equals love.
And how does that equal love?
Well, in the simplest form, and it is so funny at what point in my life I learned this. If I didn't answer my phone or I didn't text you back, would you believe I loved you? Think about that in your partner, though. If you didn't give them your time when they wanted it.
Mm.
So now what I get at with that is time ultimately equals love, whether it's you cook together, clean together. Can you go pick up groceries for me? And we all take that for granted to the fact that it's such a simple thing. But that's ultimately all it comes down to is you share your time. That equals love.
Yeah. The way I looked at it is we only have a finite amount of time on this.
You're willing to share with somebody.
Right? Because it's like an hourglass that's upside down and the sand's coming out of it. If you're giving that to me, that's the most truest form of love. Giving yourself
As long as you're due.
Exactly. I'm so glad that, because that made the gears turn in my head, when you said that, and I was like, oh, shit. Makes sense.
It was a meme that it got me on another. Well, it was actually real from another guy that I'm hoping I can link you up with eventually. That's kind of on your same path.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no, it hit me like a ton of shit. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, time equals love.
Time equals love.
Like, the most, you feel it. You're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's the sacrificing your time.
And I'm like, man. But, yeah, that investment, that time thing, that investment. Nobody wants to feel pain. And when you refuse to invest, you don't have to feel that.
Man, so damn true.
So ultimately, what was it? Yeah, it was a woman I never really thought I would invest a lot of time into. And lo and behold, 2 years later, we're living together,
having kids.
Yeah, two of the most beautiful kids I could ever ask for. Mean the world to me. I think they've taught me more than I've taught them at this point. But yeah, it some of my own actions definitely caused a lot of chaos in that situation.
I got when you arrive in North Dakota, the boom shuts down.
Yeah, so we're together. We're living in Duluth at that point. The mine's kind of shut down. I kind of had to do some figuring out what we were going to do. We ended up back down in Duluth where our family was obviously grown, support system, all that. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I don't really want to go back over the road. I said, I know the money is better out in the hatch. Yeah. So I said, well, I think at this point, that's what I'm going to do. And I'll try to do a 3 or 4 and 1 or 10 off or 12, whatever I can figure out.
Go back and forth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working.
It did for a while, but I mean, I could definitely see the strain. Just having to raise one on her own, and at the point, it came back to the oil patch shut down out here. So, I mean, that was short-lived because you had the depression.
Long distances.
And it was stressful and stuff. I mean, ultimately, I did end up having to fucking go back over the road for, I think it was a year, something like that. And made it through that, figured it out. Back, I think it was 18, I think it came back out. Yeah, early part of 18, I came back out here, and I've been here ever since then.
And then
19 or 18, my youngest is born. And shit's, I'm back and forth. I'm getting on planes, which wasn't bad, but I mean, I could really see how much with 2 kids she was struggling to be born. Ultimately, in 19, I think my youngest would have been 9 months or a little, somewhere between 8 and 10 months old, something like that, is when she moved out here. But prior to that, that's where it's hard for me to recall, but it was somewhere in late 18, early 19. We had a pretty hard fall now.
2019.
Yeah, it was to the point where I was just pissed off the situation. Things were just not working out. And again, some of my own actions, prior in this relationship, obviously probably left her feeling insecure.
Absolutely.
Fucking shit I'd done that I definitely shouldn't have. But the lack of communication, lack of investment. You don't want to be hurt. You don't want to feel that fucking pain.
Yeah.
So what is it easier to do? It's easier to walk away, or it's easier to cheat, or whatever. All that shit's easy if you don't have to face yourself.
Yeah.
The one thing I can tell you, RJ, is you can't lie to the man in the mirror.
Yeah, that's true.
No matter how much bullshit you want to say yourself.
It's true fact.
So comes to 2019, we ultimately figure our shit out and decide she's going to come out here And we had a damn good run. I mean, we spent nearly 5 years out here.
Yeah.
I got the strongest bond I could possibly ever ask for out of my youngest daughter. And my oldest, I mean, I got to share a pretty good bond with her. I didn't get that in the early years as much with her, with me being gone and the red belt too. Going back and forth either between North Dakota or being on the road was a lot of her young life, which I paid a little bit of a price for that with her, but she knows I love her. She knows where everything is at now. And I'd had to talk with her quite a bit. The bullshit situation we're in now. So yeah, fast forward 2024, maybe.
2024.
April 6th. RJ called me. And intuition's a real thing for people that don't believe. I knew something wasn't right. And so they didn't want to do it. I said, no, can you come down? Absolutely. And I don't recall exactly what we had planned, but I think it was some kind of outing or something we were doing. And I don't honestly recall what for sure was going on, but without question, without doubt, I got it and I picked up and left and had Glenn died.
We met in 2020.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, we met during the COVID year. I had been, like I said, sleeping in my car 2 weeks, looking for the right job, and then I ended up landing at Clean Solutions.
Yeah,
with you. You were hauling oil, and I was doing whatever I was doing, driving around testing tanks or measuring tanks and stuff. And yeah, our first kind of encounter was we were out. We were doing a job, driving together, and we stopped off to eat some dinner at work.
Crosby, if I remember. Crosby, yeah, little steakhouse.
Yes, yeah. You bought me dinner too. I do recall that. You didn't have to do that, man. But I remember on that drive, we talked the whole time, and I took a lot of things away from that conversation. You know, we talked about we talked about the universe.
Yeah.
You know, the human soul, spirit, what our beliefs were. Come to find out what your relationship was or was not with God. Kind of stemmed from the loss that you've dealt with. That make you question: is there even one? Because I've lost so much. And very profound conversations, and I left leaving that situation with. If you just look at somebody, you look at you look at me, we don't look like we hang out on an everyday basis, right? And mind you, this man is 75 pounds lighter than the last time I seen him.
Yeah,
5 months ago, which is I'm blown away. You look great.
Thank you.
You look fantastic. How do you feel?
Better than I have in a long time.
And this is like just the beginning.
Yeah. It's recovery, self-healing.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't use the word recovery very lightly in the mindset of addiction.
Yeah.
But understand that recovery can come in a lot of different forms.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health, I think, is something that not nearly enough people understand or put enough precedence on today.
Yeah. That's why I do this. One of the reasons.
Yeah, it's beating addiction is one thing, but then healing yourself and your mental well-being.
That's a whole nother.
That's yes, and I think that's a chapter that's not talked about enough.
The healing part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the bottom 12 steps AA. I mean, we can kind of, and I worked that system pretty hard for me in my recovery. But the one thing I'll still say is never, it's about giving yourself over to God. And I fucking struggle with that, man. I'm like, this motherfucker. Like, if there's a fucking God and you care about me, how in the fuck? How the hell does all this happen? And why me?
Yeah.
And what the fuck did I do?
Yeah. I talk about everything happens for a reason.
And you're right. And it's like, no. Oh, the acceptance of why things happen.
Yeah.
I'll click on, I let RJ listen to a little quote that I happened early in my 5 months of recent recovery. And I could see it in his eyes when it was going through, but it's just pretty simple, 4-minute quote. But to sum it up, God picked you because he knew that nobody else could walk through the fire and the shit like you. And it's like, okay, I can contest I'm a pretty good survivor and fighter, but you also start to think to yourself, well, does that end?
Right.
Like, when does survival mode stop?
So true.
But then it's also like you said, if it was easy, everybody would do.
Mm-hmm.
And addiction's not easy. Dealing with your mental health's not easy.
Being vulnerable. That's
so. Yeah, I mean, it's.
We can go into those couple of pillars here a little bit later, but as we get back to that moment where you come to be there for me.
Yeah.
We've been friends for 4 years at this point.
Yep. I mean, we'd on and off talk. Checked in with me and
checked in. Never
really had the chance to hang out. No, I mean, it was always social check-in, man. How you doing? Where you at in your life?
Well, when I started the podcast, you were one of the first people I, sent my stuff to and was like, hey, I know you go through a lot. You can probably learn some of the stuff. And I would always send it to you and get feedback. And I could tell that, you understand mental health and how important it is because of what we've been through. Your 21 years of sobriety. So I knew that you could, in some way, understand some of what I was going through. And I'm not going to go into too many details.
Right.
But, when you showed up to visit me, be there for me, you were also, in a way, putting a rift in your relationships.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at that point, it was kind of. I don't know. It's kind of odd because we went through a really good summer, actually. But I mean, at the same time, like, there was just things that it lacked communication and getting back investment amount of fucking stupid shit I'd done. But I mean, it was a combination, and Ripple is a really good one. And I mean, I gave something to RJ that was meaningless to me at the time. And it was a pretty big deal to my significant other. And it was kind of a downfall from there because, I mean, again, the year prior, we had bought our camper, and man, it was one of the best years I think we'd had together in a long time. But I went through a lot of my own struggles and shit that year with different business ventures and loss, and again, your own mental health awareness. You know, I could have done a lot of things different there, and that word vulnerability. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely could have handled some things differently and probably let my guard down. I guess you'd say it would have been a good one, but it comes back to the message, man. The shit had to happen for a reason. And that was ultimately my healing after April 6th. I could see the position you were in. I would never let you go down like that. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I was hurting really bad. You seen it. You're one of the only people to see it in person, to be honest. You know, April 6th. You walk into a completely empty place, and I'm sitting on the floor with JJ. And you're...
Matter of fact, if you don't mind, you can share the picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a memory shared between RJ and I that, for the audience, it's probably not going to mean much to you, but it's a space and time that almost in a simultaneous way, it was a very dark time for him. Too. And I ultimately had some plans. I put my plans on hold with my family because I knew that this had bigger meaning than myself and my family. And I don't say that lightly. I know where you were going. I know what you had planned. I know what your directions were. And the only thing that RJ told me through that time was that fucking vulnerability thing. I just know he was going through a really rough patch, and I wasn't going to leave him alone.
Yeah, on this path, on this journey that I've been on, I lost a lot. I mean, but I've gained a lot of experience. Now, after the smoke is cleared, which it isn't even gone.
Oh, right.
You know, I guess it was better for it to happen because now I kind of just know. And, but yeah, that picture, that was a moment. That was, you didn't even know I took that picture.
No, not until after.
I sent it to you, and you said it was a very meaningful thing to you.
It was.
But what it meant for you to be there for me when I had nobody or anything, that meant everything. So I want to thank you for being one of the people that was that, you know, I'll never be able to show pigs for that because I didn't know if I was going to make that up, to be honest. So thank you.
You bet. A few words I wrote down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honesty,
integrity, loyalty, and his life. I know I wrote it down, like, so always minding them. So, honesty, loyalty, integrity, and vulnerability.
There you go. So, yeah, something him and I have talked about for the last couple of days that seems like no matter where the conversation comes back to, there's two commonalities that we really run into: vulnerability and pain.
Yeah.
And kind of a funny thing between RJ and I'm a big Godfather fan. And this is always said to be true. And I watched it in my own life. The closest people to you are those who will betray you. And jealousy and envy are really strong emotions that can drive people to do some pretty shitty things. And my own personal struggle right now in these past 5 months,
You dealt with it.
I have had some things happen to me that I definitely wouldn't have imagined ever in my life. Going from a family of 4 in the absolute house we're sitting in right now, to living alone is a fucking profound being okay with yourself and your thoughts. Fucking man, silence can kill you. Goes back to that what you said, your own mind unchecked.
Yeah.
But it for me, those words, man, loyalty, honesty, integrity, vulnerability. And to kind of just go back in the conversations that RJ and I had is for me, to kind of bring this full circle in my story, it's been my growth, right? I mean, that's what life is all about, is growth.
Yeah.
Where you've come from, where you're going. And RJ knows, man, like, vulnerability is a bitch. And it's something I've struggled with for probably about as long as I've been sober, really. And I kind of almost feel like it was the trade-off I made.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a bit of a coping mechanism. I mean, it for me, it was a little bit before my sobriety with that relationship, but I carried it through that. Like I never gave myself the time to process and heal from that. But when you become like when in this 5-month journey, I've learned that I'm gonna put RJ a little bit on the spot here because I went back and I watched his trailer, and that hit me so hard because of my own story. Can you recite I can't quite remember how
the very beginning.
It was
about your story, right? It was what am I most what are you most
afraid for? Yeah. And then inside there was like one of the things you had mentioned in the trailer was finding true love or something.
It was what are you afraid of?
Yeah,
something like that. And I said that I'm afraid I will never feel what being in love feels like.
Yeah. So lo and behold, RJ is not even here yet, ready to do the interview, and I popped this trailer up again. And man, I to see RJ do that 2 years ago to where he's at today, and I wanted again to be that vulnerable and that honest in that moment, in that video, it was just so incredible because that has been for me the most healing thing for me is learning that I have to be 100% honest. I have to be 100% loyal. I have to be 100% vulnerable. Because no matter what, your shit's going to catch up with you. And I paid the ultimate price for it. My last 5-month journey, July 24th, out of a 13-year relationship, she decided to take the kids and go back to Wisconsin, or Duluth area where she's from. And that, even with, to the best of what I'll call limited investment, and through all my own actions and bullshit that I put this woman through, it still fucked me up. Like you build something, and I will not lie to say that I didn't end up following up with this woman over time. But when your own actions create traumas in somebody else, that's what was that we wrote down? There was your own actions. Before. I think that's
Trails and allegations. Forgetting yourself?
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so something that I've struggled with that I have to live with. First, I'll backtrack and I'll go to that allegation. So both RJ and I have been likely accused of a lot of bullshit we haven't done. That's one of the things for me that's topped all of this is pretty much in a extremely shitty way. This all went down for me. No contact from her until basically she arrived there, to which during this 5-month period, I haven't seen my kids, which that has been hell on earth for me when I've spent the last almost 5 years every day with my kids. I mean, there's been time I've been gone or whatever, but I mean, for the most part, I walk through that door. My kids were there to greet me every day. Like that's a fucking profound change, man. Like, I mean, you go from addiction again into mental health, and like you take away everything that meant the most to you in life. That is that's hard. And that's where the healing and everything comes in. And the forgiving yourself. So my healing process, something that I've had to really process, and it's not over. I mean, this by no means over for me, because it's knowing the fact that I've probably fucked up somebody else's life from probably ever being able to or have a fucking meaningful relationship because of how broken I've made that person. That forgiveness is that's hard, and that's self. Like you gotta dig deep in yourself and be honest and say, man, like you did this shit.
Yeah.
You did these things to another person that you said you loved, but because I was broken and I refused to be vulnerable, because I refused to be honest and I refused to be loyal, well, those were my excuses. Those were my excuses to be an asshole. Is that okay, though? No. And that's where the mental health comes in.
Yeah.
It,
Gotta live yourself, right?
bro. And it's gonna be a long road yet.
Yeah.
But the one thing too that I learned through addiction, it's one day at a time. And For any of the audience, it's real. And don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. I have 21 years of sobriety. I'm 42 years old. And at this stage in my life, not an addiction, but from emotional pain, I'm at one day at a time.
There's a lot of things we can do one day at a time.
Yeah.
Great to approach it.
Yep. I mean, it's, I definitely never thought I would be in this position. Never thought I would end up in this situation.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to come out on the other side.
You know, in the beginning of, that vulnerable moment in the trailer, there's a lot of the things when I go back and I watch that trailer, and I'm like, if you really listen to it and you see what I'm doing right now, this isn't like just throwing to see something that's going to stick,
Oh, you had an intention.
I had intention. And yeah, that is like one of the most vulnerable moments in my life, because I believe so much in love, and it's something that pushes me and something that makes me better, the true form of it. And I never want to come on here and act like I did nothing wrong, because my whole life is fucking up. When I'm here and I'm speaking, I never want people to follow in my footsteps or do what I say or anything. I don't even follow my own advice most of the time. And when it comes down to what I was saying with not ever being able to feel love again, what I felt of the most recent love that I had far greater exceeded any of my loves combined. So did I find it and have it? Yeah, I did. And it didn't work out. And I'm still picking up the pieces. But, it's never just one side. I mean, there is the fact where one side is going to have to love the one more than the other, or be attracted to one more than the other, right? Because there has to be that balance. I understand. I'm starting to understand life much, much more. I never got to experience the pain that a lot of people tell in the stories on this podcast, of betrayal. Most of the time I've been on the other end, and I'm not proud of it at all,
right.
And we talked about it a lot. Having a daughter was something that changed my outlook and aspect on it, very much. So I'm not perfect, but I will say that this whole journey and experience, although it's not about me, I'm here to bring what you have gone through to other people, right? People in fucking California, New York, New Jersey that, can relate. I'm just a messenger, I'm just here to narrate and be good at that. I truly,
you share one piece at a time.
Yeah. I love the essence of conversation and human connection, because it's so lost in today's society. Communication truly is everything. And when there's a lapse, especially in a long distance situation, it things start to break apart slowly. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
It's been a very tough road. And I've kind of come to realize that, like, my healing journey is what it is right now. My healing journey is this. This is what brings me joy. This is what keeps my mind occupied.
And I think for me is when you shared your podcast and even my own experience, and you allowed me to share it. I don't know how many other your guests have necessarily been down that road, but I mean, from the beginning of when you started this, for me, it was how relatable another everyday Joe story is. We're all humans.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect. And if there's one person that it hits for me, that's where it is for me too. I knew this was going to not be easy between us. We talked about it for a long time.
Yeah. I knew you had a story to tell. I knew your life had been turned out. I knew other people can relate, but I also knew how important it is to show the different sides of things, you know. And
I will say for myself, like I'm very lucky. I know that I'm very, very small percentage of people that make it through a not relapse. Now keep in mind, my life is not over.
oh no. Yeah.
And the shit I'm dealing with right now, I mean, there's many days where numbing that pain would have been so much easier. Well, I'll leave it up to you. There's some parts of my story if you want to get into that word.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a kind of thing that has been trapped inside you for a long time. That very few people, if any, know about this part of your life, this moment in your life. So this takes place after your mom passed.
Yeah.
So a slew of other passings, 9 deaths in a 3-year span. Your cousin, he wants you to get you out of the house, and I think this would be good for us.
Yeah. So my cousin and 2 very dear friends of mine, still friends with them today. Little distance separates us, but the love is there, man. I mean, these are people I can call on. But anyway, we decided to go to Ozfest in over near the Apple River in Wisconsin, just across the border in the metro. Couple-hour drive, hour and a half, something. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, man, let's roll out. And I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I remember meeting a gal there, a couple tents down, and now I'm not gonna use the term I wrote down with you, but
yeah, you guys,
we got a connection going on through the weekend, and ultimately the weekend passed, and I didn't think much of it for 2 years, and lo and behold, I'm at the height of my addiction to all this shit. And I'll preface it with something, RJ said, pinnacle moments and traumatic moments in your life. And it's life-changing shit. Things happen that you damn certainly don't know how to deal with, and you really don't even realize how you get yourself into some of these situations. Well, 2 years goes by, I'm in and out of heroin, meth, opioids. Opioids was, kind of the one, heroin, opioids, pretty much the same thing, just different forms. And so it was always kind of, if I could get a hold of them, I was on it. And functioning, nonetheless. I mean, I was a very high functioning drug addict, hit it very well. And I get a phone call, and I'm like, what the fuck? And this gal asked me to meet with her, and I'm like, oh, okay. And she says, I think we met at Ozfest, and we have a kid. I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's a hell of a call to get him.
And I'm like thinking to myself, like, how, like first, I mean, I'm blasted high out of my mind every other day. So, like, this is some kind of sick joke, or like, what, like, the fuck is this shit? Like, yeah, sure, whatever. And, but I mean, in the back of my mind, I know what happened there, so I'm like, God, hey, this shit, man, like, this could be real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't ever escape your own inner thoughts. So I'm like, hey, shit. So she showed up to shock me, and she says, yeah, I think that's your daughter. Like, oh. And I'll be honest, man, I got one look at that kid, and I was like, oh. Hey. I'm like, all right then.
Like, all right then.
I mean, it's, I look at my own kids today, and it's like you gotta know when they're yours. And there's,
mine is.
Right. And it was just like, I was a super, super surreal moment. I mean, like, oh, yeah, like, okay, how so long you find me? And, I mean, like that, the head game that played with me alone, like how you took the time to find me was like that alone really,
it wasn't easy though.
Right? Oh,
there has been some money to the process.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll backtrack to that in a second. So we ended up going. I mean, there was still a part of me that was just like, okay, I gotta know. Like, if this is my kid, I gotta know. So we went down to the local clinic and popped the DNA test, and I was like, well, thanks for whatever. We'll see what happens. And keep in mind, I mean, we're in 2003. I mean, cell phones are we didn't have smartphones exactly then. And I mean, cell phones were popping, but I mean,
yeah,
didn't have nearly the technology, obviously, we do today. Yeah. And it was my cell phone that rang. Like, that was fucked up. Like, this was just all crazy. Mm-hmm. And so it was something like 10 days went by, and I do remember. And it's funny, the money thing, because I was like, we walked in there, and I remember, I can't. It was either $1,500 or $2,500 to do this test, and like I remember, I'm like, you think I'm gonna shit $2,500, and this gal just whips out a card and pays for it, and I'm like, leave, all right then. I was like, I didn't know. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So the test results come back. She calls me. She's like, well, you're the father. Like, all right. Like, well, I suppose, I kind of at that point told her, we should probably try to figure out a visitation schedule or whatever we could work out. But keep in mind that this time I was, this is before I had even went to treatment. Like, I was pretty much a fucking complete wreck in my life. I mean, I could honestly give two shits about being a dad or anything else. And it was like, okay, I'm working, I'm making $15 an hour. Like, how, like, this is not ideal. Like, this is pretty fucked. So I'm like, well, I mean, you look at your life, you look at the position you're in. And so the culmination of the money, it ultimately, I was angry, honestly, too. Like, an emotion that was coming out is like, I was like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah.
You know, like, honestly, I knew, but like, how the hell did this find, like, why couldn't this just go and not be a fucking problem in my life?
Well, that's like your young thought process. That you're young.
Yeah, man. Like you, the runaway is easy, right?
Runaway is easy. It's easy to run away. It's hard to drink it away.
Right. So, you know, I ultimately, I don't know if it was a month or some weeks passed, and she got back in touch, and I found that I was, you know, it has been 2 years, and you somehow tracked me down. Like what? How in the hell did this occur?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and she's like, well, my dad's stuck somewhere around 150 grand into a private investigator to find you. I was like, do what? To which, during this conversation, I finally get her name and my child's name and find out ultimately her dad's a preacher, which, I mean, one could only imagine what goes through your head at that point. You're like, okay, this is really getting awesome. I find out she goes to a Catholic school for the entirety of until I met her at said festival. And I realized though at this point I still haven't went to treatment. I'm trying to figure out like what this all means. Like, okay, so this gal and her parents, her father, have spent an absurd amount of money to track me down, to let me know I have a child. But I don't even entirely know I want a relationship with at this point in my life because of the fucking wreckage I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, how do you feel like, okay, so this fucking nuclear bomb comes out of left field. Like, I'm fucking dealing with an absurd amount of death already in my life. My mom, my own addiction, watching some of my own other family members go down in the fire with me. It's like, yeah, you have a kid too. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Fuck, what? Yeah. Do you want to light another bomb next to me here? Like, what? Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, okay, so I have a kid. Like, and oddly enough, I mean, like, I think one of the other hardest parts for me to deal with this now, and man, and I appreciate this with you because, like, this is bringing some shit out of me that I haven't necessarily had to deal with. It's good because it was the fact of how matter of fact she was about her kid just meeting her dad. Like, she wasn't mad at me, angry at me, and didn't have any emotion, like betrayal. You know what I mean? Like, all the emotions you typically have in a relationship, like, they weren't there. She was just like, hey, you have a kid and you should meet. I'm just like,
I'm expecting that.
I'm like, okay, so we don't, so like that was really hard too. Is like, but she didn't. Like when you think you're in a relationship, right? Like the person, like you innately always push the other person to do better or strive, right? Like she was just very indifferent.
Yeah.
Like she accepted me at that time for who I was. And again, I was hiding it pretty fucking well, but I mean, she had to know some shit was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not stupid by any means, but I would have to assume she figured out like I was probably not in the greatest. And I didn't, we didn't discuss a lot of personal things about our lives at that time. And it was just kind of like, hey, I'd like you to develop a relationship. And I'm like, okay. Oh, and to which ultimately, to get back to how I was tracked down, which Walter. Yeah, so Walter was her father, and I'll use that name. And it's very cool, actually. We'll get into a little more of that down the road. But it came down to a license plate. So evidently, coming in and out of the grounds, every so many seconds, there was a camera that would take pictures of plates. Mm-hmm. And a good friend of mine, Rob, plate got hit. And he got a call. I don't know. I think if I recall, it was like 6 months before all this. And it's weird because I remembered this and I never even thought. It took me so long to put 2 and 2 together on this after the fact. But he got a strange phone call about, were you at Ozfest? Is this your vehicle? And were you with this person? And he said the first time he hung up, he's like, yeah, you don't need to know shit. And then it happened again like a week later. And he's like, yeah, what is this about? He's like, oh, we're just such and such firm from somewhere trying to track him down. Well, then he calls me. He's like, bro, there's some people looking for you. And I'm like, okay. It's like, I don't know, they were from this firm and something. I mean, and keep in mind, like, there's times I'm beyond out of my shit, high and fucking paid, so I'm like, okay, this probably isn't good. Like, what is all this? Well, anyway, a whole bunch of time passes, nothing comes of it. I kind of forget, whatever. And then, here we are, not too far after my birthday in September when all this kind of culminates and all this comes to, and I was like, well, ultimately Walter, that was the one that kind of told me how it all came to, with the license plate tracking me down, and I was like, these are some dedicated fuckers, well, I mean, you think you think of what 150 grand is today and what it was back then. I mean, you're talking like he could have bought a townhome with his daughter. Like you say, you know what I mean? Like you start to put that into perspective. I'm like, this guy tracked me down to find out who the father of his granddaughter was. I was like, hey. And then to find out the man was a preacher, like, dang. I was like, so when I find that out sometime around late November, like right around Thanksgiving, and I was bad shape, and I was really rough shape. And that's almost right before I went into treatment. I mean, I was, and just, I mean, dealing with that, everything else that had happened, it was just like, how the fuck, man? The shit just doesn't stop. Like, homie, you've got a kid now. You are fucking yourself up. You got no direction in life. How the fuck are you going to take care of a kid? The only thing you think about is getting up and getting high.
Yeah.
Like, it's real. Like, you don't escape your own thoughts. You know what I mean? You're just like, okay, so this shit happened. Just what? And so we've had limited interaction, but I mean, I've seen her in between there. I ultimately came to her and I was like, you know, I'm like the shit's a wreck. I do want to have a relationship with this child, but I'm in no shape to do it. And I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really know how else to approach the situation. It was like, I just ultimately knew that it was going to be, like, I felt like I would fuck it up more than do anything good. You know, like, you know, what is, yeah. That's a, I was talking to the last gal on the podcast, and she was saying that's the thing that addicts go through as parents, that they're better off. And that's actually kind of where a lot of this stemmed from me. It's like, I was like, wow. Like, that interview hit me in such a different way because I'm 20 years old and like I'm a fucking child. Yeah. I'm sorry, but 20-year-olds don't have a fucking clue what life is. And that's no disrespect to anybody young that watches this, but I mean, you just life experience. There's so much like, yeah, no, I mean, now, yeah, absolutely. Like, take what you can from this, but I mean, I just like in your life experience when you are 20 years old, you know, to where I am and where RJ is today, and other people he's interviewed, you realize man, you had no idea. Yeah. And so take that with a grain of salt, you know, like, I have no disrespect for anybody that's young and watches this, but I just, like I said, my own emotions, you know, you're like, okay, like, the only thing you're working for is booze and drugs and trying to make sure that the fucking rent payment gets made, and you're like, okay, how this is gonna work. Yeah. And so ultimately that's where it comes back full circle to the day I decided I was done. It was too much. I mean that, and I already said it, man. This is something that in even my closest circle of friends, my own family that I love very much, not very many people to this day know about all this. And then that was weighing on my mind as well that day, you know, like I like this is too much, man. Like, I can't deal and process, and ultimately decided it was time to see what was on the other side. And fast forward, I get, you know, back in 03, I go through treatment. Well, you're not allowed contact, or very limited contact in treatment, you know, family or whatever. I get out, and it was, I thought, you know, I got to make amends with this shit, man, because I feel like an ass now. I kind of just ghosted her for a month. I had no fucking idea what I was doing or what I was going through. Got back in touch, and and we rounded a corner that it was kind of wild. I mean, I was actually in a relationship at that time with somebody else, and I was like, you know, I said, I got to go a different direction in my life here. I just kind of let that be what it was. And she's like, is this something you'd like to figure out? Like, do you think we can get to know each other and possibly be a family or, whatever? And I'm like, well, I damn certainly think it's worth yeah, the effort. I wasn't afraid. I was getting clean. I was seeing the big picture. And so ultimately I said, I respected her family's beliefs didn't necessarily entirely align with mine, but I said, I have a lot on my plate with getting sober and clean and keeping myself in that direction. I said, let's go. Every other weekend, I said, I'll dedicate that to you, her, and we'll see. Let's see what happens. And things were clicking, and it turned out from January to February, we really started clicking, and honestly, in March, we spent quite a bit of time together. I think if I recall correctly, I think we might have almost spent every weekend together in March. And there's a day that was in 26. March 26th, 2003. Things were just looking along. I was working and I got a call from Walter. I thought, man, this is kind of odd. And he says, yeah, your daughter and my daughter did not make it. And I said, what do you mean? They were killed by a drunk driver. And the worst part for me in that was the amount of effort that was put in to give me that opportunity. Then it was ripped away. And so here I am, 3 months into sobriety. And that happened. I'm just like, this is like, there's a fucking God. If there's a fucking God in this world, and this is what I get after putting all my efforts into getting sober. What in the actual fuck? I remember sitting in the same house with my uncle for 3 days, and the only fucking thing I wanted to do was use. And the fuck part of that was her birthday's on the 29th. I don't know if when you were looking at the notes, you put that together. I think it was the 29th or 30th. Yeah. 29th. Yeah. That's what I thought. She would have been 3. And it was like, I had more questions than I'll ever have answered. It's like, okay, so this family spends all this time, and all this money, and all this resources, and not to mention, RJ, this is an extremely religious family.
Yeah.
at that, like
It was important to them.
yeah. And it was like I went, that was rough as shit. And then it was, fast forward to getting out of there because I knew it wasn't going to get better. And getting out to my dad's again and just kind of recharging. But I mean, it's a piece of my life that not very many people know because it just doesn't. It's like a puzzle piece that still never fit right. Like why did it happen? Like, okay. And what did I learn from it? Well, a couple things in that is one, your team. Actions always have consequences.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I mean, through life now, a lot of people have asked, what were some of your driving forces in your sobriety? And that was a part of it, but I still felt safer running away. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I didn't entirely know how that was all going to play out. I was like, but I knew if I didn't get sober, there was no chance of me getting any redemption.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big one to me that there's regret, there's remorse, there's I have wished to hell I knew, but I don't think she had regrets. I don't think she did. I think she was actually at peace when she found me, like everything. Like I do think she was really at peace with like where everything was. And I do feel good about that. Like, because I mean, there was times even after sobriety, I was like, man, I'm 20 years old. This is my life. And I mean, again, day at a time, like, now I'm going to be getting myself into a situation where it's crying, baby, it's diaper. I'm like, man, it's not the shit I was built for. Like, I was focused on getting myself clean, getting out of my own headspace into a place. So for me, that's what I mean is for me, there's regret. There's, did I make the right choice? Was I on the right path? Was I, but yeah, I think so we can fast forward that one, but there now, you fly to Florida and we'll take it from there. Yeah. So what happens there? Through the entirety of this, and I will face my demons from this point forward. The children of my mother, or my mother's children, sorry, never knew the story of its entirety. And I'm here to share it with the world because I believe it's important. And Walter flew me down to Florida in 2019. And he was not in good shape, basically on his deathbed. he had cancer of some sort. I don't entirely remember what, but he gave me an envelope, and I don't know what is in that envelope still to this day, because I'm not to open it until her Coleman's birthday.
2027.
Yes, sir. What he did ask prior to that, but in 2019, that I should have practiced was my last name, that he believed should have been on the birth stone of that child. And I do know that her birth certificate was also formally changed to my last name, which was pretty wild, that the man that I think in total, I would say I probably had less interaction with time in this entire interview.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it still baffles me how honestly this guy probably didn't hate me with every bone in his body. I mean, but I think coming from his background, forgiveness, faith, I think ultimately it was what he thought was right, and but yeah, 2019, it ended up, I ended up hiding the trip from my significant other at the time. I had to come up with some bullshit to get down there. And, ultimately, some years later, I don't recall for sure, but there was a time that it came about that this was found, and I was questioned on it, and I said, it's a time in my life that I will not discuss. That's not involve you. And I left it at that. And I do, I don't know, Archie. I don't know if it was right, wrong, or different. But I think it does come back to vulnerability and honesty. I mean, and I think had I shared it, it may have changed something. I don't know. But I just felt it was something that I hadn't fully processed yet either.
Yeah.
And so to share that with somebody when you haven't really necessarily processed and healed from it, I think it's kind of ultimately where that came from, this guilt, shame. Like I didn't really want, I don't want to relive that kind of thing, it's a demon from my past that can lay there. And so yeah, that's ultimately probably another part of why I am where I am today.
I mean, I don't know if it's very deep culture. That's that part of your life for before anyone was involved,
right?
And like you said, the contact you had with Walter was no close. And I guess in 2027, there's going to be a lot to uncover, hopefully, and that'll be a process to itself to go through, to grow through, because that's what this is all about.
Growth and healing.
Definitely young. I want to thank you for doing all this. I know you know that this means a lot to me. You've been there for me. And you've been better with a friend. And I really appreciate everything you've done. As this conversation has unfolded, it made me think a lot. and going into this year, I had a lot of goals set for myself that I did not think I was going to reach, or I did. There's a lot that happens that I found my vision board digging through more sessions, and 95% of it I checked off your box. Because
That is awesome.
yeah, sure, my sister and everything, I went to Portugal to take my kids on a road trip out of Montana. Building a better relationship with them is huge. And I also lost a lot and went through a lot. And could be to just the fault of mine, but either way, I think I came to like a good realization that this was my checkpoint to make with podcasts. I have a lot of other things that I got my hands in right now that also comes into play with helping others and be able to for sure. That's my path I'm on right now. And I also understand that in growth and healing processes, sometimes you need to make a change. And I think where I'm at right now, I understand that my next chapter is about to open. So I'm going to be moving, not too long. I love that I was able to accomplish all that I've been able to accomplish during one of the darkest times in my life, with the help of you and a few other people. It brought me closer to my kids. There are new people in my life that I became close with that have been helping me in so many ways. And I'm going to shout them out later. Later on, I got a whole little thing set up. But I'm going to be taking a big break from this work for a while, just to catch my breath and focus. On myself a little bit, because I have a lot of things planned. And I think people will be excited about what I'm going to be bringing.
I remember when you said you were going to take a break. I don't know. It wasn't too long after I visited you. I honestly didn't expect you to do as many episodes as you did, honestly. I commend you for moving forward and not giving up on yourself. That's self-resilience, man. Self-love, self-resilience. It's a thing. And for me, I think right now, well, I know we both wrote this down, and playing God.
Yeah.
It's the funny thing. I think how RJ and I can both view that contextually in life. And I think there's always a point in somebody's life where they feel like they know better than anybody or anything. And I've been there. I've almost had God. And it's a shitty fucking feeling. If I had to make decisions that I didn't want to, then I think I should. But at the same time, in playing God, the funny thing about that is it's ultimately always your own actions that have led you down that road you want to play God. And it may not necessarily be all of your own actions, but it's a culmination of your actions or reactions to a situation you were in. And one thing I believe in that's extremely real is karma is a motherfucker. You can only run from shit for so long. And that can come full circle in my life from addiction to relationships to my own consequences to where I am today. You can only run from shit for so long. And it will inevitably, you'll pay the price for all your mistakes, all your betrayals, all of it. So yeah, to the audience, for anybody that, if you're struggling with addiction, make your amends. I will say the one thing that RJ had asked me to mention, because I know it's something that he didn't necessarily go through himself either, yes. But the AA program was pretty prevalent. And one thing I do believe that is during addiction, you don't realize the fucking destruction you create.
Yeah.
Because self-preservation, at least live day to day, it's live moment to moment. It's in the amount of destruction you can cause. Well, addiction is one thing. And I know one of your biggest things is the mental health.
Absolutely.
And again, I can't put enough presence on. It's one thing to get sober. It's completely another to heal. And when you don't give yourself that time to heal or process it, I feel like a lot of us still end up in positions we're in now. Because you dealt with the physical, right? Like getting off, getting okay, like I can figure this out, like I'm not sick. Like the stigma, right? You're an addict or whatever, but with that comes is fuck, okay, now I have to be a functioning adult in society, right? And that's job, whatever, the kids, the what, okay, but now what I think so many people don't realize is that's the time you need to take to heal. That's the vulnerability, honesty, the integrity, because those are still all roads that are easy to go down.
Thank you so much for putting those words out to the world. It's important.
Oh, man.
The healing journey is everything.
Yeah. That's it's
Yeah. And it kind of showed me the steps of where I'm at right now. I know, like, my next step to find my happiness again, because I haven't felt true happiness in a long time. And that breaks my heart, because if you look at pictures of me, a few years ago, how I carried myself, even how I spoke, or I'm a different human. And that's not to say I'm not going to be back to that person again, because I will eventually,
or a better version of it.
or a better version. But like the video you showed me earlier, you got to be able to walk through the fire. I was born in the fire, so I should expect what life throws at me. And I'm going to take it on the chin and keep on chugging. How is that? Survivors. Survivors. But I'm not just yet. And there's no doubt in my mind that your next chapter is going to be the best one of your life. I feel that. What you've done in 5 months.
I do certainly believe in myself. It's just you. There's good and there's bad days, right? So you take everything in the culmination, and I guess what I'll close this with is I think you're very much right, and I think it's worth the audience to know. For me, where I'm truly at right now, at December 30th, 2024, in my life, I have a pending court date for custody of my children that I haven't seen in 5 months. So for anybody that's ever had to go through that, it's rough, man. It's really rough going and seeing your kids every day, best friends, to not seeing them, but then also dealing with somebody that you don't recognize. That's him. I have daughters, and I don't want to placate into emotion my feelings towards that, but like for somebody to shift their entire belief system in what you once had or once shared or what have you is extremely fucking hard. And something else that I wrote down, like, that this is going to play into effect in closing this habit, no contact. And RJ and I talked about this because people can walk in and out of your life. People can come and go. I'm kind of much the same way as RJ is. My door is always kind of open. You come and go as you please. But there's also mutual respect there. You know, if you're not giving me that time and that love, don't expect it back necessarily. You know what I mean? Like there has to be mutual respect and understanding there. Yeah. You will. Yeah. Right. So I think for me, in the situation I'm currently in with the pending court case, one of the things that I've struggled so hard with is I just wanted to turn the switch off. Like, okay, like if this is what life is going to be, and this is how toxic this is going to be between you and I, and we have 2 children involved, but there's nothing more inside of me that just wants to turn the switch off. Like this person doesn't exist, right? I mean, like it's just something like you don't think this bleeds over on your kids? Do my kids feel a day? And what do you think it's like when all I get is video calls? You don't think they can feel that through your voice? In the way to absolutely they can. Kids are not dumb. And so what does my future hold, RJ? Man, that was a conversation that I don't know. And it's one of the hardest things I've had to grapple with because I think as a human, you want to fit. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the most human thing. We're meant to connect, right? And that's the most human thing we can have. But then when you go back to your own actions, your own choices, your own betrayals, I think it ultimately leaves me with, it is probably best to let the cards and the chips fall where they may. And I think there's going to be a lot of nuclear fallout from this yet on all that. And I don't know, you'll be there for that. Because I don't even know, to be honest, but I mean, I can tell you there's going to be a wrath of shit that comes down. Yeah. And I know it's kind of funny in this episode, it's probably something that's never really been brought, never really just been brought up in the episode. It's kind of like the whole family dynamic of what family court fallout and all that can look like. So we get the, and what's funny is you can circle it all back to a few simple things. Either dishonesty, disloyalty, drugs, or abuse. Yeah. I mean, when you know what I mean? Like, when you really kind of boil it down to, like, how does a nuclear family fall apart? There's only so many reasons. And for me, mental health was a huge part. A huge part. When you don't heal, but you're trying to lay your shit off on somebody else, comes out, right? So, yeah, we'll see what ultimately happens. For me, I know that I'm going to step forward every day. And the two most important things that have kept me going in all of this are my daughters. And something else we discussed, this is kind of be my final closeout on this, is, again, I don't believe in hating on anybody for how they're raised or what their life position is. But I believe that every child deserves a mother and a father, and I think they have very different positions in their lives. And I think it's extremely important to teach your children, boys or girls, that it's important to be independent, but it's also important to be a husband or a wife. And it's okay to be one or the other, but also be self-reliant, resilient, and survive. Because I would hate for my children that I would be in a position where they would have to be in a position they felt like they couldn't get out of. And this goes very much back to your entire purpose of this is you put, fast forward 10 years for either of us when our kids are in their 20s and they end up in a relationship of abuse and let's not help, or alcoholic partner or any of that. And I think it's my responsibility as a father to, one, teach them that's not okay, but also give them the skills to put them in that position that if they have to walk away, they can. And also understand that it's okay to walk away from it. Now, again, can you love an addiction? Can you love a person that's an addict? Yeah, you can. I mean, you could absolutely form a hell of a good relationship. But is it going to be healthy? Probably not. I mean, that's probably going to come with betrayal, dishonesty. It's, you go down the list, right? So I feel like that's my job to teach them, look, yes, these things can happen. It is a possibility in life, but understand there's a way to deal with it. There's a way to cope with it. There's a way to not put yourself in a position that puts you in a situation where you can be abused, beaten, whatever. And you damn certainly don't want to think about that as a father, but it's real. It's real. And I know that's my main focus now is letting my children know that some of my own past is not okay. And I damn certainly don't want them to go down that same road. Absolutely. And I appreciate it, RJ. It's been an honor, man.
No, I really it's just the way I wanted to close out the second season. It took a toll on me mentally to get this far, to do where I've done, do it by myself. So that's why I'm going to take this break. I like to take this chance to. I've ever heard anybody in the past. I apologize. I haven't always been a perfect person, but I like to think that my heart's supposed to be right. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
You got it, buddy.
You got it. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody. I will see you when I see you. I'm going to take a little break, and we're going to heal up some more. All right. Yeah. Shouts out to everybody. I'm going to do a little shout out to you. You're soon. All right, everyone. Peace. Bye. Oh. Whew. Nailed.